I heard the Takeover. I don't know if I told you did I tell you the poker story before?
No.
So I was doing this big cover story on Jay-Z. I hung out with him on and off for like a month. It was a lot of fun. He invited me, he just would call and be like, yo, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're going to I should tell you the Hamptons story too. We're doing this, we're doing that. And obviously it's not Jay-Z himself calling, it's Jana Fleischman, who we love, who's calling me like, you should go to the Trump Tower tonight around 8, 9 o'clock. I'm like, great. Like, I don't need to hear anything else. I'm there. So I get there, and he's playing poker with a bunch of guys. Leor was there. John Maneely was there. Maybe a couple other people. Michael Kaiser, great dude. He was there. So there were some industry guys and some street guys, right? And he had a cassette, and he played me the Takeover, and my jaw was on the ground, because I'm like, you're like saying their names? Are you gonna like bleep out their names? And he looked at me like I was crazy, like, no, like this is the record. Like, and I'm like, wow, you about to start a fight with that shit? Like, all right, let's go. Now, one of my heroes as a writer was George Plimpton, and his whole shit was to immerse himself in the story. Like, I'm going to be with the Detroit Lions, play quarterback for the Detroit Lions, and thus write about them, right? I think he played hockey with the Boston Bruins, right? And like wrote about that. So I'm like, I want to be in the story, right? So now Jay-Z and the guys are playing poker. I'm like, yo, like, let me in the game. Now, I don't really know how to play poker. I'm not good with cards. And I am also by far the poorest person in the room.
Easy.
But like, let's go. So now it's like 8, 9 guys sitting around a table. The game is called Guts. They deal you 2 cards. There's no flop. You decide, face down, you decide just looking at your cards and other people's faces whether or not you're gonna stay in the hand or not, right? And we're gonna go in order, right around, right? And that's important, right? Because you're looking at other people, right? Like, he stayed in, he only stays in when he's got it, so I'm gonna drop out. You're wild, right? So I don't care that you like these sorts of things, right? And like, Jay-Z is really good at reading people and noticing little body language. He almost never loses a hand the whole night because he's noticing like, oh, Leor only goes in when he's got it. So if Leor's in, I'm out. But you, I could see, oh, I saw you smile. I see your body language. So like, I'm not that good at these sorts of things. So I'm not noticing the things, but later I'm realizing like, oh, Jay-Z noticed this and that's why he had this outcome. But I did want the interaction with him, right? So, you know, part of the thing with this game, which they called Guts, was that if you stay in the hand and you lose, you have to replace the pot.
Okay.
And the buy-in would be, for each hand would be something stupid, like 100. Like you had to kick in 100 just to get in the hand, and then the big blind would be more than that. But the pots would easily be 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. So like 4,000, whatever. So like if you lose, you gotta, so, you know, your boy was fighting. About midnight, I was down like $4,000. And John Maneely was staking me because, you know, they were trying to be nice and let me keep playing. But, you know, it was like, damn, like, you're a fucking idiot. Like, you're fucking paying to do the story. Like, you're not gonna be able to make rent next month. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? My God, you're such an idiot. But I did catch a lick. I had a side bet with Kaiser and somebody else. So I was like, okay, what we get on this next hand, and then the real pot, I got 2 aces. So I took down both those pots. And then like 20 minutes later, I got 2 aces again, 1 again. So now I'm like up several $1,000s. I'm chilling, right? And I'm like, okay, it's like 2 in the morning. I'm like, I'm not gonna be broke tonight. Like, let's go. And then Jay-Z was in the hand and I was last to act. And he was the only one who was staying in. And I'm like, well, this is like such a great situation because now I'm alone in the hand with Jay-Z, right? Where I can write about, like, this is like a juicy moment. Also, I had 2 jacks. So I'm like, there's only, what, 3, 4 hands that could beat me, right? Ace, king, queens, right? There's only 3 hands that could beat me, right? Did I have 2 jacks? I had 2 jacks. No. I had 2 10s, right?
So there's 4 hands that could.
Right, so there's only 4 hands that could beat me, right? There's 8 guys in the room, right? Like, what's the likelihood that he could, like, I mean, if I was actual poker player, I would know the likelihood of you having it, but like, I'm like, it's gotta be low, right? And I'm in the hand with Jay-Z. So before I went in, because he was already in, and I'm like, if I beat you, I'm gonna put it in the story. And he's like, but will you put it in the story if you lose? So I put down my cards like, yeah, what's up now? 2 10s. And he looks and he goes, That's all he said. I'm like, what the fuck does mean? And he starts raking and he puts his hand down like, and he's got 2 jacks. And I'm like, motherfucker, you beat me by 1, like for fucking thousands of dollars, like. But it was so great for the story, right? To have this moment where we were like hand to hand, head to head in this game. Later that night, he and Kevin Liles did like 1 hand face off for $10,000 that Jay-Z won, and he wins the hand, and he's standing on the table like he just hit a 3-pointer to win a playoff game. He's like, yeah, and everyone's like, cheer, ah! That was wild.
How much money did you lose?
I ended up making $5,000 that night.
Okay.
I walked out with $5,000, and I went and I bought a Tag Heuer, a Steve McQueen Tag Heuer.
There you go. I used to have one of those back in the day.
Within that sort of, this is kind of funny. So within that hanging out with Jay-Z moment that was going on for like a month on and off, they're like, so they're going to the Hamptons this weekend. Would you like to go to the Hamptons with the crew? Fuck yeah, I want to go to the fucking Hamptons with the guys. So it's a Hamptons weekend. Okay, great. So what do you wear when you go to the Hamptons? Beach wear, flip-flops, right? T-shirts, whatever, beach shorts. So I show up in flip-flops, right? Like, whatever. Now we're sitting at this 8-person table, and Jay-Z and Dame Dash are at the other end of the table, and I'm sitting across from Aaliyah, right? And I'm trying to talk to her, but she's extremely shy, right? And her voice is very quiet and high. So it's kind of hard to hear her, and I'm kind of throwing out little, how you doing? How you like your lobster? Like whatever, just to try to get a little conversation going, right? Love your album, whatever. And, you know, and it's hard to get a conversation going, and it's hard to hear her because everybody's talking. So I'm really like working hard mentally to like shut out the rest of the room to hear her. And I know in the background, Jay-Z is telling a story, but I'm not really listening to him. And then I hear in the background, he has suddenly stopped telling a story, and they were laughing, but he suddenly stopped telling a story. But I'm like, I'm not really paying attention. I'm trying to talk to Aaliyah. And now I hear Dame talking really loudly, and everyone is guffawing as if he's this major comedian. And I'm going, what is going on over there? So now I've shifted my perspective over here just to try to read the room and understand what's going on. And I'm not saying anything, but I'm just trying to vibe like what's going on. And they're giving me this look like, welcome to the conversation, asshole. And I'm like, what the fuck is happening? And so I'm listening and I'm vibing. Jay-Z was telling a story about somebody else, and the punchline of the story was, and the nigga was wearing flip-flops. And then he realized I was wearing flip-flops, so I might be embarrassed by his punchline. So he suddenly stopped. But then they realized he's not even listening. So then Dame is like, what do you do when somebody is making fun of people wearing flip-flops and you're wearing flip-flops? You pretend to be silent and like you can't hear, like the roach when the light comes on. So he's roaching me like this. Well, I'm trying to hear Aaliyah. So it was quite funny at my expense when I finally realized, oh, you've been having this whole thing about he's not listening to us on purpose. And I'm like, well, yeah, but not because I'm embarrassed, because I'm trying to hear Aaliyah. So that was kind of funny. Yeah, around that time, me and Dame and Jay and Aaliyah were in a helicopter going from Brooklyn to Manhattan. And it was about 10 p.m. and there was a fog going on and we're like over the East River and it is pitch black and I cannot see a thing. I can't see my hands, right? When I'm with these sort of people, I have a pen and a pad in my hand all the time. I'm not pretending like I'm hanging out with you. I'm constantly ready to write a note and want like everyone like remember like I am the reporter. Like if you say something, you know you said in front of the reporter. He was not pretending to be part of the crew. So understanding that is my role and status as the reporter, when I'm like, it's super dark in this helicopter and I can't see anything and I'm kind of scared, I can't really say anything. I can't be like, guys, I'm scared. I'm like, maybe this is normal. They rock in helicopters. Like, I got to be cool and just roll with it, right? So I'm kind of like getting scared, but like, whatever. I mean, like, there could be something like an inch away from us. We cannot see it, right? And like, Aaliyah barely talks, right? She's shy and she's quiet, so she's not gonna say anything. And Jay-Z is too cool for school. He's never gonna admit that he's scared, so he's not saying anything. So I'm vibing like, they should be scared because I'm scared because it's fucking dark as fuck. But nobody is saying anything. I'm kind of clocking like, she ain't gonna say anything. He ain't gonna say anything. And when I started to vibe about Dame, he turns to the pilot and he's like, can you fucking see? Like really rude, but like necessary. And the pilot's like, oh, sorry. And like he could see and he like flicked a light and then turned on some lights and then suddenly it was brighter for us. But it was like, okay. And then Jay-Z turns to me and he's like, oh, I bet you were scared. And I'm like, what the fuck? I was fucking scared. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're like, you weren't scared. So, he likes to like make fun of you, have fun at your expense. It's all in good fun though.